One of the things I thought, if I ever became a realtor, I'd become a fix and flipper.
Yeah, how come?
As a realtor, you're out in the streets, you're seeing all these properties, you know the market, what's a good deal, a bad deal. A lot of realtors, after a while, say, screw it, I'm done giving it to these investors, I'm doing it myself. And so they now become the flippers.
Thank you for joining us on the Evolve Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Oli Merkes, and just want to give a huge shout out to the team at Icon Industries, Shane, Steven, everyone that makes this magic happen. We appreciate you. We thank you. And without further ado, the one and only Ted, I wish I could say your last name, but Rancho Ted. Yeah. A finance guru and real estate. I'm a huge fan. I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
Rancho Ted. Okay, so let's just jump into it.
Sure.
I can't pronounce your last name, and neither can you, apparently. How'd you come up with Rancho Ted?
Well, it was a friend of mine. I was a mortgage broker, and from 2000 to 2010, I went through like 6 different companies. Everything started folding up, so I kept on coming up with new business cards, new whatever. So in 2010, I was getting on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and a friend of mine, Alex Martinez, said, you should brand yourself. And I thought, after all these companies going under, I says, it's a brilliant idea. So he said, you own a ranch in Alpine and you work for Rancho Financial. Why don't you call yourself Rancho Ted? And I said, nope. No chance.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid. Yeah.
So you thought your current brand was stupid?
Yep, I wouldn't do it. And my friend Paulie, who's my marketing guy, is the one who talked me into doing it. And I said, it's stupid. Didn't sound professional. So I wouldn't. So he talked me into doing it, and he started doing the marketing, and I wouldn't even tell the name of the company. It took a couple of years. And then one day I had an attorney say, you better make sure nobody steals that brand. I thought, geez, an attorney saying that to me. So then I started thinking, well, maybe I do have something here, even though it sounds stupid. And then, so right after that, I started, embracing it. And so everywhere, once people start, hey, I love it. And I start, hey, now wherever I go, it's Rancho Ted this, Rancho Ted that. But before, for 2 years, my business card, it would say in small letters, Rancho Ted, real estate loans and investments. Yeah. So it was a weird.
When did you change your brand? What year was it?
2010.
Oh, get it.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for, you've been into branding before it was cool.
Well, my buddy made it cool for me. I didn't understand
Paulie?
branding. Yeah. Paulie.
Yeah.
He's DBRDS. It's his architectural company.
Okay. Where does Paulie, where's Paulie from?
Paulie's from Australia originally. Yeah.
I was going to say New York, but that's actually even better.
Yeah, he's a genius. Yeah. He designs buildings, and he did me a favor by helping me with the marketing. And so he and I meet every Friday, and we come up with creative. Well, you saw that one I just showed you. That's pretty.
Well, yeah, I'll have to jump in on a meeting with Paulie, especially when he came up with your brand in 2010. So what made you finally decide, hey, I'm going to roll with this, and it grew on you?
The attorney.
Really?
Well, he forced me to stay into it. Paulie made me, but when the attorney said, hey, you better make sure nobody steals this, I thought, wow, you wouldn't say that if you didn't think it was a good brand. So then I thought maybe I do have something, but I didn't really feel confident. It didn't sound professional to me. So yeah, Rancho Ted doesn't sound like a hard private or real estate money.
I get it. And I think that's what makes it such a cool brand. You wouldn't expect Rancho Ted. And then what I love about it, I've gotten into Yellowstone. Oh my goodness. I'm having Montana fantasies, by the way.
I'm dying to watch that thing, but I keep saying one day when I stop work, I'm going to watch all of it. But yeah, that's a good.
Ted, I wish I wouldn't have gotten started. It is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and well worth it. The thing is, you got a ranch in Alpine?
Yes.
Sweet. Tell us about that. I'm all about when you showed me your screensaver. That was cool.
Yeah, well, I grew up somewhat on a farm back in Massachusetts. My grandfather owned a 230-acre farm.
No way.
Yeah, and we actually lived in town, but we'd go out every weekend and we'd bale hay and the cows. And my grandfather had owned it for 50 years, so it was the 60s, 70s. Nobody was having the chickens anymore, but it was just basically huge, massive garden, like beyond my. I still think of how big that thing was, and all the baling of the hay, and I don't know how many cows they had, but it was fun. I just say that, man, the freedom was unreal. You could run around everywhere. So it's in my blood. So when I came out here, I was always thinking that way. And
250 acres? How long was that in your family?
Still is. My cousins own it.
Nice.
Yeah. But they don't have the work ethic of my grandfather.
Oh, Ted, I don't think work ethic is what it used to be.
No, that's a hard job. And things have changed so much, as we know. Farms are no longer what they were.
Yeah. What's the fondest memory that you have about your grandfather?
Fondest memory? I don't know if there's one particular one. I just...
What did you appreciate about it, his work ethic and stuff?
Well, as I look back, I mean, I'm, owning land myself. I mean, the work that goes to, keeping the brush down and all that stuff. But when you start putting up the fencing, I mean, I'm no expert in that. I always have to well, actually, I've had tenants up there that are good at it, so they always do it. But it never ends, man. It never ends. It's just endless. In fact, it was in, cold weather too, man. So we're not talking sunny San Diego.
It's not San Diego.
Yeah. See,
How many acres do you have in Alpine?
20.
How long have you been in Alpine?
2003. Yeah,
what's the biggest change that you've noticed in Alpine since? You've been there 20 years.
The biggest change is there is no change.
Yes. Is that what's the attraction?
No, I just, I've never seen a place and nothing ever happened. I mean, I drove through it the other day trying to think of what's new around here, and it just doesn't change. Which, like places like Poway, for example, when I first arrived, were just starting to take off, and they, those things blew up, and other areas around. But, for some reason, Alpine has just been sitting there, and I don't know, people don't realize it's relatively close to downtown. It's 30 minutes to the exit.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
And the other thing that, I don't want to ruin it for myself, but the other thing, traffic's not bad at all,
No. Traffic is terrible. No one, Rancho Ted doesn't want anyone to move to Alpine.
But one of the things about the beauty of real estate, you can kind of go and come as you want, so you don't have to worry about hitting the traffic. But so it's kind of a, still quiet place in a way. It's not no.
When you go, because you said you live half the time in Little Italy and then the other half in Alpine. What's your favorite thing to do when you go out to Alpine?
Oh, to Alpine? Wow. Yeah. Let me tell you, man, it's spectacular, the view I have. It's one of a kind in the city, I have to think. And you can hear a bee coming from like 30 yards away because there's no sound, So the nature out there is as good as it gets. I've over the years, one of my tenants actually started it, but we started giving food out to the animals, and it turned out this fox showed up, was the one taking all the food, and then next thing you know, he started coming inside the house, and then next thing you know, the whole family started showing up. I've got a picture of 4 foxes on one rock. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So the foxes come by every day. I'm not there all the time, but I give them dog food and these treats, and they won't leave without a treat. They'll sit there and look in the window until I give them one of these. It's like beef jerky, but they're easy to eat. It's not like.
So you're the coolest part is you have a fox as a pet.
Foxes
as a pet.
I got Rachel, Jimmy, Molly, and Rocky.
Let's go.
Yeah, but with that, you get a mountain lion. Now I've got that on video. I can show you, and I knew it's around, but I got it on one of my cameras. He walked right by the house, and I knew he's been there for years, but you never see him. But until you see him until you see them. Now you start thinking twice about walking around at night.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or in
yeah.
the mornings, but we all know the odds are slim to none. Something's going to happen, but it's still, it's there. And then last 2 weeks ago, my neighbor caught it on its driveway, coming up the driveway. So we're in its territory. And
Yeah.
so it's actually, I love mountain lions, but just don't want to.
Yeah, I love them too. I just don't want to cross one. Yeah, that's not Ted. That's not your specialty. I don't think you're going to hunting wild game. I moving from Massachusetts to here, like that was a cool story. So you moved in 1985.
Yeah.
What do you miss about Massachusetts?
Friends.
Yeah, you still.
Yeah, I go back every summer. I'm trying to get them all to come out here because some are starting to retire. So I've got the ranch all set up. So there's room for everybody, and hopefully they'll start come visit in the spring. Because to me, our winters are too cold now. I've gotten so spoiled over here. But if the weather was like this over there, I love Massachusetts. I love New England, all of it.
I bet
I'm a sports fan, so my Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins.
I think you get a stamp when you're born, right?
Yeah. To be honest, there's nothing else to do. That's what happens. There is nothing to do. Like out here, there's so much to do. It's endless. And over there, in the winters, you really, beside going out in the cold and, snow skiing or something like that, but you end up, the sports really kind of takes part of your life.
What do you have what's the one thing about San Diego that's better than the East Coast?
Great question.
Besides the weather. The weather is easy.
The one thing I like about here is there's a variety of people. From Massachusetts, everybody's from Massachusetts. When you come here, everybody's from somewhere else. So
gotcha.
You meet all types of people, which is very cool. They're all from around the country or around the world. And I like that a lot. The one thing about San Diego, and I've become a professional walker, I call it. I hike and walk as like you wouldn't believe.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
let's go. We got to go hiking.
So one of my proudest things was during COVID, there was nothing to do. And so I started walking, and one thing led to another. And I ended up walking 4,000 miles in 1 year. That's 11 miles a day. And I think about that. That is unbelievable, and I did it. So that's really like walking cross country and almost halfway to Europe.
You walk 4,000 miles in a year?
Yeah, 11 miles a day.
What in the world were we not doing starting with that? That's incredible. 11 miles? What was it taking you? Like 2.5 hours?
No. It takes 3 miles an hour. So 3.
So you were as
3.5 hours.
Nice.
3.5 hours a day. Of course, some days I do 12. Most of the days were close to 11, but some might be more, some might be less.
Okay.
And some days I get 2 miles and I have to really make it up, but there's nothing to do.
We need to do the hiking. I love hiking. Yeah. Hiking I love being outdoors.
So I guess my point was about San Diego's. I was actually going to go do it this morning. I thought, there's too much stuff going on, but I was trying to get like 8 or 10 miles a day. So around this city, man, it is unbelievable how many great locations you can go walking. Shelter Island is by far one of the safest, beautifulest places to walk.
Okay. Hit me up when you go next time, and we'll.
There and
I'm all in. Like I just San Diego. It's you're right. The hikes, the walks. It's
you go to the
freaking
zoo.
Insane.
Hey, just go to the zoo, man. You can walk 3 miles in there and enjoy it. But the thing is, when you walk, you can enjoy it. When you're on the treadmills, I used to do that, and I'm thinking this is pure torture, man. For like an hour, you're trying to. So I said, you know what? I says, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to go out and hike or walk, whatever you want to call it, either one.
So last summer I got into running for the first, I don't like running, but that's how come I do it, because like, I don't want to do it. And I love running outdoors so much better than running on a treadmill. Treadmill is just like torture.
Yeah. I think running's torture. I mean, I used to play.
It is. It is. But man, I'm in my 40s. I don't have a choice. Like the health has got to come.
So because I see people running by me, and I used to train all the time for sports, and I didn't mind training for sports. I could run all day for that, but just to run, I said, oh man, this is. And then I see people running by me just the other day, and I'm thinking, man, they look just like they're hurting, And I'm thinking, just walk, man. Just walk, man. You may have to take longer, but at least you get to enjoy it, because I think every 10 miles you walk is really 5 miles of running.
There's one thing about running. They talk about runner's high, and then once you actually experience it, it's like, I'm like, all right, this is a real thing. So I see both sides of it. I know, like, as you get older, like, walking is so much better for my knees. Like, it's brutal when you're running outside.
Yeah, no. And here's a quick little side note, but so I read the book Shoe Dog.
Okay.
It's the history of Nike. So if you get a chance, read that book. It's really an incredible story of how Nike started from day one till 1980, and he stops there. And the reason I bring it up, because of sneakers and all that stuff, I'm always looking at what people are wearing now when they're running and stuff. And
I'm a sneaker. Like, that's Ted. I didn't realize it, but I became such a shoe. We're gonna be appropriate. Like, I'm into shoes, and it's hilarious because I'm not that guy. Like you said, I mean, I like the Hawaiian shirts. I like to have fun. It's the brand, and then shoes. Oh, I love shoes.
Well, I don't know if you've tried Hoka's. They are the most incredible shoe I've ever come across.
I was Brooks, and now I got my first pair of Ons. Oh,
I haven't tried those.
Ons are amazing. I have a lot of good buddies that run that swear by Hoka too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's either Brooks, Hoka, or On. Ons are incredible. Like, I was kind of blown away. I'm like, holy smokes.
And the reason I was, I thought of Nike on that was because in the book he wrote, back in the 60s, people who ran people thought of them as like weirdos or freaks. That's how he described of how people looked at runners back in the 60s. It's so funny. He's so funny in the story. And that was a good example of like, hey man, nobody ran, only weirdos did.
I totally understand what is saying in the book, because I never imagined like I would just wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go run 7 miles.
It's a lot.
I'm like, I could have, had you said that to me beginning of summer, I would have said there's no chance I'm going to go run 7 miles. And then once you get into it, you're like, everything's harder until you do it. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem with running is when you stop to get started again, walking's not as hard. I'm telling you, folks, walk. You'll last longer.
So the debate is on, and so we got running and walking. When we go hiking, we'll just walk. We don't need to run.
No.
Let's talk about sports in Massachusetts. I'm always fascinated. I think it's one of the best sports cities in the world.
Yeah.
Celtics, Lakers, Yankees, Red Sox, or Patriots. What is the biggest rivalry where people just lose their shit?
Yeah, no, it's clearly Red Sox, Yankees.
By far?
For me, it was.
Yeah.
The problem was, in the 70s, we just kept losing. And you just can't explain it, man. But there's nothing more than beating them. And I will tell you, in 2004, when we finally beat them, it changed everything. Like, it was over. Like I can move on with my life now because that thing's over. And
really?
Obviously, we've done quite well since then. And so for me, it's not as what it was, but that was really one of the hardest. You'd always lose. And at the very end, it wasn't like you get killed. We'd lose in the 7th game or whatever game, and it was always on the last inning. And same with the Mets in '86. And I just hate New York.
I get it. Don't talk to me about a city in California. I can't stand it, but we're just not going to call you guys
may hate
out.
us, so it's even.
With 2004, you said it changed everything.
Yeah.
What did it change for the city?
I just finally get that monkey off your back.
Got it.
Yeah. And the way we did it, that was just
seriously.
You just couldn't do it at a better way. Like it really lifted it. And now they have to live with that for the rest of their life. We have to live with 78 with Bucky Dent and 86 with the Mets, and then all those other ones in between there. But yeah, when that happened, it was just like it's over. It's over.
So are you still as passionate now that you don't live there? Are you just?
Oh no. Oh yeah. I'm a sports freak.
Yeah. So you talked to me about like the Chargers and when you came out here. So it was more about when you saw the Chargers, it was more about the weather. It wasn't about the Chargers, right? You're not a Chargers fan?
Oh, no, I was a huge fan.
Oh, you're a huge Chargers fan.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
It was when Dan Fouts was playing.
Ooh, okay.
And I will tell you, man, it was a show. It was a show. Those guys were so good, so exciting to watch. I'm still not over 81. I think, was it 81 that they lost to Cincinnati?
Yeah.
And they only lost because it was minus 50 degrees, If they played in San Diego, they would have killed them. So that was a bummer.
You think that was their year that they would have won? Yeah.
Yeah, they were unstoppable. And that's what happens in sports, man. You get bad weather, and that makes the game a little different, right? Some teams are more better with grass or turf, whatever. If it rains, it changes it. So they were unlucky there. They were good, man.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so that's yeah. So
what do you think about the Chargers now?
That's a great question. I was also a Green Bay Packers fan.
Interesting. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, by the way.
Oh, wow. So I was a Patriots, Packers in the 70s, and then the Chargers came, and I liked them, and I actually liked the 49ers too. And I always thought, the Packers had it right because they own the, and I always thought, it really kind of belongs to a city, and when an owner takes it from them, I had a huge problem with that.
Yes.
In San Diego, it's because it's really I thought the city's team. And now they took it away from us, and now there's no team. So, but I just through common sense, and that's what hard money's about, common sense when you do. I said to myself, there's no way those guys will survive up there because there's just too many teams. You've got all the college teams, 2 professionals, everything. So there's no way they can be supported. And I always said to myself, it's just a matter of time when another owner buys them out and takes them back down to San Diego.
You know what? And I think when everything comes down to money, that's when bad decisions happen. And the guy's greed, it is what it is. Yeah. I just once that happened, I was done. Because I grew up here. I've been in San Diego for over 35 years. And once I saw them do that, I'm like, I threw away all my Charger stuff. Even if they come back, I don't care. Yeah. You show disloyalty to a city, you shouldn't expect loyalty back. It's like the Raiders. Yeah. I don't know how many times they were in Oakland. I think it was 3. It's crazy to me.
I don't get that one. I don't get that one. Yeah, the Raiders are another animal, aren't they?
You know what, though? I am. It's interesting to me, how Vegas is, with the Knights and, when I was watching sports, they wouldn't let any team in Vegas because of the gambling. And now they're come on in.
So, I was for years, I've been waiting for gambling to get legal, and because I go to Vegas and I'm terrible at blackjack and all those things. So I bet the games and I'd bet $10 and it was fun. I thought, geez, it'd be fun to bet on a game. I thought you go down to a 7-Eleven. I didn't know how it was going to work and put $10 or $5 in.
Right.
And so it's really been fun. I do have one of those apps, and but what I've learned is how much you lose. It's unbelievable. And I know people but I lose all the time. So it went from, betting $10 down to $5, down to $2, So I'll bet $2 on a game and it makes it exciting. So that's all I'm looking for.
Right. And I love that you're a finance guy because you're betting below $10. You're like, I'm gambling, but very, very minimal.
But when I feel good, I'll go 5, and if I feel bad, I'll do 1.
When you're getting itchy, I'm going 5 on this one.
But if you're sitting at home doing nothing, I'll just put a couple bucks on this and bet the over. It's fun if you do it right,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've seen people, man, I don't know how they do it, but they can throw 1,000 and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm $20. I'm losing my mind, if I lose that, But it's a lot of fun if you do it right, I think. But
I have your gambling. I'm like, I work too hard to earn that to just give it away.
I don't think you can win unless you study it. I don't. I mean, I just kind of. I think I'll go this
It's for
way.
fun.
I think I know, but I don't know. You know, and I've constantly been being reminded. But then you'll win like 5 in a row, and then you're like, I think I got this thing. You know,
And then you wake up to reality.
Then you get knocked out again. But then it happens again. I can go on forever, but. Yeah, gambling's fun if you do it right. It makes for a boring night something to do.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're more open to it because I think, it falls on each of us to make good life decisions for ourselves. And it's like if you got a problem, just you got to recognize it. You got to do everything responsibly. Yeah. Speaking of doing things responsibly, I like how you described hard money. You said it gets people out of trouble.
Yes.
So I have a situation.
Yeah. People are in situations and you are the solution to their situation. Yeah.
So what's the difference? Like, I do government and those types of leagues. Why don't you just help people understand what is hard money?
Sure.
How exactly does the real estate industry use it?
Yeah.
We'll start there.
Sure. Well, I think hard money, that name is there couldn't be a worse name for lending, right? Hard money.
Yeah, it's like hard to get money.
Well, it's
awesome.
There's nothing good coming out of the thing, and I can't stand saying it, but people, if I say private money, then they get confused that it's something else. If I say hard money, they know it's real estate. If I say private money, so I say hard money when I'm talking to real estate people. If it's a bar, I say private money, so it doesn't sound terrible.
Got it. Because it makes it sound like that's the first time I've thought about it. I'm like, hard money. It makes it sound like it's hard to get that money. I'm like, that's not a good name at all, actually.
Yeah. So anyways, the lending is it's obviously unique to everything else in the real estate. The thing about it, it's just the money really comes from private sources, and it's not coming from the government or if you have funds, it may be through through New York, but it's just done with common sense. That's all I can tell you is that loan to value is everything, and person's credit or income is not as important as it would be. And if there's equity, people make the loans because they know they're protected by that. And there are all different reasons people use private money. There's no particular one. Right now, one of the biggest one, as we all know, is fix and flips.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's talk about that. How have you seen a drop in fix and flip financing over the past year or so?
No, I probably get a call a day on fix and flips.
Okay.
So one of the things I thought, if I ever became a realtor, I'd become a fix and flipper.
Yeah. How come?
Because as a realtor, you're out in the streets, you're seeing all these properties, the market, what's a good deal, a bad deal. You can recognize it. And I see a lot of realtors after a while say, screw it, I'm done giving it to these investors. I'm doing it myself. And so they now become the flippers. And I thought, yeah, why not? Right. So if I was a realtor, I'd be a flipper.
Okay.
And the thing about flipping loans.
Yeah.
I can't believe how easy they are to get. They are so simple. It's ridiculous.
How come they're so easy to get? Because I get this question a lot because I'm in the government.
Yeah.
I have a lot of families that want to become investors. They want to do fix and flip projects, but they just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So from a financing perspective, in my opinion, everything starts with financing. Why are you even looking until you got your financing in order?
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. So I'm interested in doing my first fix and flip project. How should I go about taking care of the financing?
Yeah. Well, again, it's based on equity. And so the way they have the formula is really they're looking for you to put down, let's just say 15%. It may be a little bit more than that, but 15%. So there's some equity in there. And then they will give you the money to fix it up, which will give you after your repair value. And after repair value, they'll go up to 75%. So bottom line is you need to come in with 15% plus closing costs. And, depending on how big of a loan, if it's $1 million purchase, $150,000 plus another $180,000. Now, what makes it work nicely is they don't use your taxes or anything to qualify. It's just based on the equity of the property and the property itself. And if you don't have the money, well, you can team up with somebody, 2 or 3 friends, each come in with 60 and make a deal.
See, in Rancho Ted, that's I think one of the most complicated things for non-real estate industry people to grasp, that you don't need money. So when you hear this, what you need are advisors that know how to find you money, or investor relationships that have money.
That's good saying.
Because once you have that,
Yeah.
then you can get the ball rolling. Because I'm trying to help people understand how you create money with money.
Yeah.
Like that's a skill that pays dividends all the time.
Yep. Yeah, this is I know it's a challenge to buy anything these days, but the fix and flip is one of the best avenues to get into the market. And then there are those loans out there, DSCR loans, that can, they're stated income for the most part. You qualify with the rent.
Yep.
Or you sell it, you do one of the two. So you either hold it or sell it. And anyways, you're in the market at least.
Bingo. So talk about that from looking at private money, and I'll call it private money because that sounds a lot better to me. I'm like, I always wondered, why would they call it hard money instead of private money? And you just answered my question. It's because it confuses people. So if I'm using private money, because the fix and flip projects are a lot more profitable as well, because you're forcing the equity in essence on certain deals.
Yep.
Is it like, what do you think prevents, because people have fear in doing things that they're unfamiliar with. So in San Diego, we have a huge housing supply issue. So how come you see so many real estate agents focusing on fix and flip?
Yeah.
What opportunity are they seeing that people should be aware of?
Well, they're on the streets, right? And, I just had a realtor call me last night, wrote him our pre-approval today. It's mainly realtors that are finding these deals, but there are some others. But the realtors, they can't make deals right now, right? Because the market's slow. So good for them to go out and find fix and flips, and now they'll become experts in that. And so really the realtors are the ones I think are, making out pretty good in that respect.
So for you investors that have money, I always look at opportunity, right? Like when you're in the money space and you can find opportunity and introduce it to your client base, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So would you right now, I know it's a different space. Do you think it's depending on certain factors, do you think it's a good time to buy in San Diego, and how come?
Good question. I'm super frustrated with this city with the prices, it just is. We all are. Just got a lot of friends who don't own a property, and I feel bad because I don't know if they can, so it's and it just doesn't feel like it's going to change.
You mean ever? You don't know if they're ever going to be able to buy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what's sad? I've had to tell certain families, I'm like, unless you're going to grow your income to this, you might want to consider going out of state.
Yeah. That's the only other option. I don't know how else you do it. To qualify for $1 million house is just insane,
Especially where rates were at until recently. But even then, we're at 7-month lows. It's not like we're back to March of 2022 where rates were, below 4.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? Like, you've seen the news with the Fed and all that stuff. Do you put a lot of weight and credibility into what the Fed says that they're going to do?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I've been watching it for a lot of years now, and kind of know how it works. So I know as an election year, it's always come down, always. So I don't expect that to change. And it seems like we're doing pretty good on the inflation part of it. So I think rates will come down. I don't know how much it'll affect the market. You hate to think it's going to make the values go up more, because then, God, how much can, crazy. So, but real quick, one thing I want to make sure is what I say, please, I'm no expert. I'm just telling you what I think. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Ted. With the audience, what I will share with them is everyone's financial situation. I've never helped 2 people that had the same exact situation. Everyone's situation is unique. And that's why you have to have mortgage advisors and private money advisors that are going to take the time to explain things to you, because everyone's situation is different. And when you do blanket statements, that's when we get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, do you enjoy the private money space more than doing the traditional lending? Because you changed in what, 2010?
2008, roughly.
Oh, 2008?
Kind of switched, that started switching. Let's just say that it just doesn't happen overnight. Well, I really love the conventional end of it. I think I told you in the 90s, it was really a nice balance. It was just good. Everything was good. And then the crazy state of incomes threw it out of whack. And then it switched completely to almost impossible to get a loan in 2008.
From one extreme to another.
Yeah. And the thing I would say is in the 90s, it was common sense. In the conventional world, in 2000, when it switched to the thing, the common sense went out the door. It made no sense to the loans that they were doing. And one of my great examples was in 2006, I was doing a loan for somebody who was buying a condo for $400,000, which right now is, God, if we couldn't get one for 400. 100% stated income. He put no money down. It was all stated, and it was a rental. It was buying as an investment. And I thought to myself, my God, how did like no money down on a rental? I mean, so it was just like, how does this work? And it didn't make sense to me, and I'm trying to make sense of it. And then, as we all know what happened. And then 2008, man, I was doing loans that were great loans, and they wouldn't do them. And I'm thinking, now there's no sense in this. So I jumped over to the private money world, and the first thing I found out was if it makes sense, you do the loan. If it doesn't make sense, you don't do the loan. But in the conventional world, you'll have a great loan to value, but the FICO's 639, you won't do the loan. And in the private money world, you'll do it all day long, and there's reasons for people's credit lower. There can be some good reasons, even some whatever, even if they're bad, but if you're at a good equity position, you're safe, and at least people can buy a property and not, be stuck.
Yeah. And it's having experts in your sphere, in your circle, that help you guide through these things so they can address the myths. There's a lot of myths that aren't necessarily true.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, I encourage people, like in my space, I'm like, go interview 3 mortgage advisors. I don't care. No. Because here's the thing, like you should absolutely, to me, finance is about find someone that you trust, find someone that really takes the time to get to know you, understands your goal, and really spends time building out a plan specifically for you.
Yeah.
How would you approach selecting a private money lender? Like what are 2 to 3 tips that you have on how you find someone?
Well, one thing I've learned is that most private lenders they have niches. Everybody has a certain niche. So some private money lenders just do fix and flips. Some just do commercial. Some don't do seconds. Some do jumbos. I mean, like 10 million. Some won't go below $1 million. It's just so. First of all, you got to find out what exactly type of loans they do. As far as like, how would you go and, I guess you'd have to shop, like you said, like you go to 3 and just say, what's your pricing, and that's.
How do most people make their decision of, does interest rates really come up that often and stuff in your space?
Yeah. The one thing good about San Diego is we're very competitive compared to the rest of the country, because there's a lot of private money investors here. So, around the country, you probably get rates 12, 13% and not have a problem. Over here, it was 10.5. It's probably gone up to 11% now, but we're always lower than the average rate around the country.
Hey, competition is good.
No doubt there.
Especially with the loan, that's why I always find funny when you hear these articles talking about what interest rates were in 76. I'm like, yeah, did you see the house prices? Who cares?
Yeah. Well, and I remember a friend telling me he bought in the early 80s, and he said it paid 18%, and the house cost 300 or 200, you know?
Yeah. It was a different ball game.
Well, yeah, but then you throw 2% on $1 million, it's almost the same thing. It's crazy.
It's an interesting market. I look at some of these mortgage payments and I'm like, holy.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
I don't know how people do it
I don't
either.
either, man. That's why I feel bad. I just, it's a beautiful place, you know, and you like to have everybody be able to afford it. And I don't know how they're going to make that work. I guess you got to build up and build a lot of condos, and that's one way.
Yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah.
It's just the name of the game. And like you said, it's like, I was looking at the stats, and the goal last year was to build 250,000 homes, and they had a record-breaking year. They built 110,000. Insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, they didn't even hit 50%, and that was a banner year.
Yeah. No, it's just so hard to build, man. And the prices right now, the cost to build.
Yeah.
It's all a huge challenge. You know?
Everything is a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, and still it's when you look at, you know, how wealth is built in the US, real estate is a path to financial freedom.
It's no doubt, you know, it's if you're young, buy and hold.
Buy and hold, don't sell. Buy and hold, buy and hold. Going into 2024, is there any opportunities that you see that you're going to be exploring when it comes to the real estate space?
As far as me?
Yeah.
You know, most of my money goes into investing in trust deeds, so I kind of play it safe, I guess.
Nice. Yeah.
I do. I you know, lend my money where I work. So yeah.
Hey, makes perfect sense. You invest in what you know, right?
Yeah. So it's easy for me. I don't have to stress.
Okay, let's since you are the networking, one of the networking icons in our space, how did that whole, like we know how Rancho Ted got started, and I love that it has to do with a ranch. Yeah. Perfect.
It's
what made you decide to go that route? Because you sponsor a ton of events. You're pretty much everywhere. Everywhere I go, you see Rancho Ted.
Yeah.
How did you get started with that? And you're still passionate to this day. You've been in the space for a long time.
Yeah, it's getting years of going, man. Well, as a mortgage broker, I used to go to caravans. The problem I had was public speaking. It was a huge problem.
Really?
Yeah. And so I used to, you know, I used to go, but I didn't really talk to too many people. You know, you sit at a table, you do, but you know, so didn't really get too far when I did it as a mortgage broker. You know, it was crazy. I actually was a soccer coach. Did I tell you about that?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we're missing a whole world.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, you were a soccer coach?
Yeah, I coached for a club called the Nomads.
Okay.
It's probably one of the top clubs in the country back in the 90s and 80s. And then I coached at UCSD men's soccer. So
Ted, we left out a huge holy shit.
We'll leave it for the next episode. But yeah, so I coached at a high level and wasn't looking. I really wanted to be I really wanted to coach if I could, but I realized it's just not going to happen with money wise. But what happened, I met through the networking. So through the networking, I made a lot of contacts, and that's where loans started coming from, and it was done by accident. And then, so that's how I kind of get started with getting loans, and it just got me started. Yeah, so that's how. And then I stopped coaching, and then so I had no place really to network, and so I started going to caravans. And caravans, I realized there's a lot of real estate people there.
Yes, there are.
and so
that was a very loaded answer, by the way.
To be honest with you, there's it's a lot to it. I mean, I could go and discuss it would take about 20 minutes or longer, an hour to discuss how it all began. But I started doing the caravans, and I was thinking, well, you know, I met a guy at a business network. It wasn't real estate, and I asked him, I said, hey, man, how many times do you go out network in a week? He goes, I go out every night. I go, what? I was going like one Thursday out. That was the Thursday I was out.
Yeah.
It was like in 2012.
Okay.
My friend Randy. And I said, you go out every night? And he says, yeah. I said, where do you go? What's going on? You know? So he said, So I said, well, if he's going every night, I can do that, So so the next thing he invited me to a cigar smoking network group. And so I started doing that. And then I started looking. And anyways, it's amazing how many network groups are out there. They're everywhere. And then when you start, oh, I'll go to that one. Oh, there's one over there. I'll go to that one. Oh, there's another one. Then you start figuring out what's in the morning, afternoons, and evenings. And then you start, come across the SDARs, the PSARs, and then the North County group, and like, what's this, start learning all about that. And then you realize there's just so many to go to that
you don't have enough time in a week to go to all of them.
No, you can't. So you have to learn how to how much time do you spend at one? And then
right.
It's kind of where the bus benches came from. What happened was I was going to, let's just say Pacific Beach or Mission Bay. I'm like, I can't keep coming. I got to go to the other ones, So I thought, I'll put a bus bench up, and then this way the realtors will see my bus bench.
Well,
and then I'll be in front of them that way.
I think what I'm impressed with and surprised by is that your passion and you still go. Yeah. Like, it's ferocious. Yeah. Like, I'm like, because in our space, it's easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And not do what you need to get done. Yeah. So to see your discipline and actually help me a lot, I'm like, man, Ted's everywhere.
The bottom line is I enjoy it.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I love it. I just absolutely love it. You make all these friends, and then you go in a thing and you're just hanging out with all your friends, and then you go to another space. And so, I was at one last night. I'm thinking, and I'm saying, how would I ever retire? I'd go, if I retired, I'd just go home and do nothing. Go weed whack at the ranch, right? 20 acres. And
I'm in. That's their therapeutic. This sounds like great time right now.
Yeah. Well, I did it actually. Oh, that's another story. I weed whacked all 20 acres once. But I started thinking, boy, I'd miss all these people. And I think I probably never will retire. I just, I'd slow down. I don't have to be but I love it. And if you love it, it's not work, right? So,
amen. Yeah. And that's, I think I've met so many incredible people over the past 2 months that have rejuvenated my passion for real estate. You just got to be selective on who you collab with, partner with, and there's great people that are doing great things out there, and that's what I'm all about, being advocates for them.
Yeah. And then, obviously, there's a lot of affiliates that I hang out with that we're doing the same thing, so we're all just, hey, man, what'd you think of this or that? And so we're all kind of a gang, the affiliate gang, where we all just collaborate and talk about what's been good, what's been bad, and
well, it's also a mini mastermind. You get different people's input, and it just helps me get better at what I do. So I'm a huge fan of that. And there's so many smart people, so many experienced people that are willing to help. Ted, that's the cool thing. The upper echelon people that have had success are so, some of them are so giving with just sharing that knowledge and just being open. And that's, that's a side of real estate I want to tell more of. Hey, there are fantastic people out there.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree.
Yeah. Since you do have a really cool brand, what's in the future for your brand and marketing besides networking events? Is there anything else that you're going to be doing in 2024 that's different than what you've done recently?
I've been thinking about it.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Spill the beans. Let's go.
Oh, so I might do commercials, TV commercials. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But, I see all this stuff and you're like, well, how much does that cost, And I'm thinking, that must be a lot of money. All this stuff. You start thinking this thing, oh, boy, they got to be really rich to do this, And then what happens is, for example, the bus benches, people see you on there and then they call you up and they're like, hey, man. So a guy from Fox News, Fox 5 called me up and, said, hey, I'd like to meet up with you. And I said, well, let's hear what you got, how it works, And so, it's pulling the trigger. It's not crazy expensive, and it's just another angle, and part of it I do it for kind of for fun, see what it's like.
Yeah.
See what kind of interesting commercials we can come up with.
I'm with you, and we're going to be recording commercials here, so it's funny that you're going there because I actually am a huge fan of recording commercials and running ads on them versus buying leads.
Yeah, I've never bought leads.
I have. I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the organic. So what's your goal when it comes to your brand? Like besides getting word of mouth, are you recording more video? Like where are you taking your brand?
Never do any videos. It's really, I could, I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Just as some.
Well, now you have a friend that has a podcast and you know people.
Yeah, maybe I will. But right now I'm just looking at the commercial part of it, and that's maybe my next step. I've got all kinds of crazy
I think it's
things.
great.
I've got the vision, and I still haven't pulled the trigger, but those planes that fly by, I Rancho Ted banner.
Get it.
So it costs $7,000 for the banner, and it's like $400 an hour for the plane. So I thought, I'd just do that, like, 4th of July, certain times of the year, just for part of it's for fun, part of it does the marketing,
Ted, I like that you're enjoying the fun aspect of it, and you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone. That's not easy to do.
That's easy. Public speaking's hard, but I've gotten better at that, so that's good. Yeah.
Well, and you also want to do it. I think it's, how do you approach getting yourself psyched up to do hard things that you're not comfortable with doing?
When I think I've said it earlier, when you set a goal, you got to do what you got to do.
Okay.
That's it. If you got to jump out of a plane, you got to jump out of a plane. And, if you're going to be in the paratroopers, whatever. I mean, so it is what it is. So if I got to do what I just do it. And that's
where did you pick up that philosophy from?
It comes from within. Yeah.
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 You've always been just writing down your goals. So how do you go about goal setting then?
Good question. Well, it kind of, it's hard to say. I don't really have a particular way I do it. It's
okay.
For example, I said, I'm going to start going to caravans. And then I started saying, well, I'll start going to those, the Women's Council and the ARIA and the NAREP and all those groups. I started doing that. And then so you just start going to the next level on your own. I don't really set something like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for you, it's mainly about taking the action.
Yeah.
That's really the strategy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. And then as we get to wrap up, and I hope you enjoyed it because Rancho Ted is going to be a regular. I appreciate people that are willing to take the time to explain money and give you advice and input and be upfront with you. And that's all I've ever seen from you is like, I don't think you're going to set people up for failure if what they want isn't solvable.
Correct.
So who brightens up? Who do you want to thank? Who brightens up your day? Who makes Ted's day a little better every day?
Who in particular, or
anyone you want to thank?
Oh man, that's a pretty open.
I know. That's why I leave it up to you. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Just whoever, who's someone like you had talked about. Oh my goodness. A couple of your buddies, you one that does your marketing, like
Paulie.
people.
Paulie, Well, real quick, it's Paulie's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, so Paulie, happy birthday. And great job. I saw the content he showed, we've been here for a long time. That was good.
And then my girlfriend, Pat, one thing about Pat, she's an incredible cook. And without her, I would not eat because I'm running around crazy all the time. So God bless her for.
Do you cook?
I don't cook. She cooks. She
okay, awesome.
She cooks.
So what does she cook? What's her favorite?
Asian, all types of
Asian.
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
I'll bring some for you.
What's she crush? What's your favorite dish that she cooks?
Everything. It doesn't matter.
Everything?
You tell me what you like and I'll bring it.
Okay. I'm all in, man. Like
she gives me like this 6 frozen things, so I'll give you a packet for a week.
That sounds great. And if you're raving about her cooking, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be raving about. Is there what is your favorite place to eat? Because I am planning on going to Boston this year. Yeah. What's your favorite place to eat in Boston?
I don't have one particular. I've been gone too long.
Really?
Yeah. So I go to my hometown or Salem.
Gotcha.
Those are the 2 places. Boston itself. Don't really go in the city.
Fine, I'll cheat. What's the best place to eat in Little Italy?
Well, the best coffee spot is Cafe Italia.
Okay, Cafe Italia. And I think we should set I need to go. I'm all about the little coffee spots. I haven't been there.
Yeah, the owner's from Boston. His name's Steve, and he's actually the president of Little Italy, too. So good contact for you.
Okay, there you go. Hey, Steve, you just got a shout out. Cafe Italia.
Yeah, there you go. Steve.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ted, thank you so much for being on.
Wow.
Really, really appreciate it. And we'll see him soon. We'll talk to you later.